Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and more Season 8 of Diablo 4. Today we're talking about Mythic Uniques and their kind of awkward situation. Now right now across the community, if you were to ask have they nerfed the drop rate for Mythic Uniques, I think you'd get quite a common or even resounding yes to that. It definitely feels like the drop rate is down in this season, but is it really true? We don't know. They've not actually commented on this as far as we've seen so far, but right now it really does seem like they're not dropping nearly as much, which is a big disappointment when you think about the new Lair boss system and the way that they've got scaling rewards. On paper, you should be able to fight Belial, who's going to be really hard to actually fight because the materials to do so are quite rare, and then have really respectable odds of getting Mythic Uniques to drop. But so far, that's just not been the case. This combined with the feeling of lower drops of legendary runes, which by the way were greatly reduced from season 6 to season 7, it's actually incredibly hard to craft the one that you want, even if you have the Resplendent Sparks to do so. And this is also something that Blizzard haven't yet mentioned. Here's me, actually early into the season, getting incredibly lucky on Torment 3, not 4, killing some Tyraels and getting not 1, but 2 Mythic Uniques in the same farming session. So I've been pretty insanely lucky, I know that, but it is still possible to do it. Let's talk about the Mythic Uniques, how to get them, all the advice around it, and the general thoughts about the state of things. So, Mythic Uniques. There are a current total of 12 available in the game right now. Each one of them can be obtained by completing content in Torment 1 or higher. And as you can see, they always drop at item power 800. They require level 35 to equip though, so they can be incredible for alt leveling. Now, I don't have plans to say out loud all of the 12 uniques and what they do, so here they are just on screen for you to look at. And if there's one that you're particularly interested in, go have a look at it. But I will say that there are 3 that stand out. One of them is the one that I've got here, very luckily, Heir of Perdition for the massive damage multiplier. The huge crit strike chance and lucky hit chance in particular, super good. This works in many builds. Then you've got General Universal Popular, Shroud of False Death, the armor. And then you got the Ring of Starless Skies, which is insane for any build that's spending a lot of resources. Let's take a look at the Lair boss system, which has changed in Season 8, and the Mythic Unique scaling drops that exist within it. From this graph, you can see there are 3 tiers of bosses. Initiate tier, Greater, and then we have Belial at the top. This essentially scales the odds at which a Mythic Unique will drop. So your odds are greatly enhanced when you go against Belial compared to something like Varshan or whatever. But it's still possible to drop from any of them. This is also the case for your torment levels. As you get higher level in the torment, that's where you're going to have the highest chances of Mythic Uniques to drop. I will say though, if you're farming Mythic Uniques, you want to maximize your odds. And so you want to do it in a full group. Each person that's in the group will add 1 more drop to the drop potential, which of course could spawn in as a Mythic Unique to increase your odds. Some other changes to do with the bosses though, we can now look at them on the map and find them under this special icon to show you a layer and the layer boss, which does allow you to teleport to it directly as a nice bit of quality life. As you can see, it also tells us whether it has a chance to drop Ancestral Uniques and Mythic Uniques. Further, it tells you what's required in the new Lair Key system compared to the old summoning material system. This does mean that killing Lair bosses is free to do. You can summon them for free, you can kill them for free, get the boss power associated with that for no problem. But the loot after, that's what requires the keys. As you can see, there are 3 tiers of bosses, and there are scaling costs to each. So for the initiate tier, you need 12 Lair Keys per open of that chest, 3 keys for the greater chests, and just 2 for Belial's chest. Thankfully, there are even more quality life changes in-game, where if you hover over the specific keys that you need, it'll tell you some information about it. Like Lord Zir's blood here, this requires 12 keys, or 12 blood in this case, and it tells you where you can find them, like World Bosses, Legion Events, Blood Maiden, Helltide. But just to cover it for you, here's where all the keys come from in the best sources. Varshan now only requires malignant hearts instead of different body parts, but you will need 12 of them. Handing in Whispers is going to be a top tier source for this, but any grotesque mobs that sometimes spawn in post world boss or event bosses, that'll give you some too. For Grigore, you need Living Steel, and of course these just come from Helltide chest openings, and you can get a lot of them. For the Beast in Ice, you need Distilled Fear. To get these, you just complete Nightmare Dungeons, and they drop in good quantities. For Zir, as we just talked about, you need Exquisite Blood. These drop from World Bosses, Legion Events, Blood Maidens, the new Incursions, event-related rewards. The new Uravar boss and his masks, these require 12 and also come from Whisper's world bosses and events and open world content like the new incursions. For Duriel you require 3 Shards of Agony. For Andariel you need 3 Pincushion Dolls, and for the new Harbinger of Hate you need 3 Abhorrent Hearts. These all come from killing initiate bosses as guaranteed drops. So if you want Duriel keys, you just need to go kill Varshan or Grigore. If you want Andariel keys, you need to go kill the Beast in the Ice or Lord Zir. And for Abhorrent Hearts, you need to go kill Uravar. But lastly, how do you actually access the supreme pinnacle boss of Belial, the Lord of Lies? You need Betrayer Husks, 2 of which are needed for each chest opening. Every single boss outside of Belial himself, when you open the loot chest, might spawn in an ambush of Belial, a mini-boss, which when defeated, drops the Betrayer Husks that you need. Be aware you can use the Season Blessings to increase the odds at which that happens. You can commit points into the Urn of Lies and make that more likely, up to 80% when fully upgraded. As another important detail, there is a kind of universal material, Stygian Stones, which can be directly used to make Pincushion Dolls, Shard of Agony, or of course the new Abhorrent Hearts. To use them, you just need to come to any alchemist and come to the transmutation tab. Here you've got the Stygian Stone conversion, and this is how you turn them into other stuff. There's also this old system, summoning items, where you can craft you specific keys as another option. The last thing to be aware of though if you are trying to get keys is the Tribute of Titans, which you can bring to the Undercity and give yourself guaranteed boss material rewards after completing it. So it's another great source to run when you have them. So the best boss to farm for farming Mythic Uniques is undeniably Belial. Blizzard have straight up said that he has the greatest odds of dropping Mythic Uniques. But when you kill him, you get to choose what the rewards actually are. I'd strongly advise you then to make sure you're at least picking the highest level of boss to increase the odds of Mythic Unique drop. So that would be any of the greaters. Pick Duriel, Andariel, or the Harbinger. They all have the same loot pool, and the odds are going to be higher there for Mythic Uniques compared to initiate bosses. But there are other sources of Mythic Uniques. Technically, any drop that spawns in a unique could spawn in as a Mythic Unique, but the odds of that happening in open world content or normal content is essentially 0. It'll probably never happen to you ever in your time playing the game. So we need to focus other sources of it. Firstly, you have the Tribute of Ascendance, which still exists as a tribute in the game, which you can bring to the Undercity and run. This has increased chances of giving you a Mythic Unique at the end instead of just a normal unique. This is because it gives you a pile of uniques as your reward. The odds of this were very good in Season 7 and one of the most reliable sources to run for Mythic Uniques. The problem is that the Tributes of Ascendance are very rare, so you run them whenever you get them, but good luck getting them. Another aspect to be wondering about is the Purveyor of Curiosities, or Obol Gambling. You can get uniques by doing Obol Gambling, and thereby you could get Mythic Uniques by doing it. However, I'm not going to lie to you and say the odds are good. It's incredibly unlikely, but we should acknowledge it as an option. Plus, in Season 8, they have buffed Obol Gambling, so if you get lucky and get one, it could lead to at least a spark. Now, we've mentioned Resplendent Sparks a couple times here. What are those? These are the Resplendent Sparks, which as you can see is a rare material used at blacksmiths to forge specific Mythic Uniques. That might sound better than it is, especially in Season 8 where it's pretty horrible. Anyway, you come to any blacksmith and you pick the Forge Equipment tab. As you can see, we have crafted items, we have Mythic Uniques. Here you can RNG roll a Mythic Unique spawn. So for 2 sparks and 50 million gold, this is going to spit out a random Mythic Unique. It could be the one that I want, or it could be one of the 11 I don't want. So you got to be careful with this one for sure. However, thankfully there is a specific way to craft Mythic Uniques. If you come to a jeweler and go to rune crafting, you have this tab from Mythic Uniques here instead. So as you can see, we can quite literally craft one of the Mythic Uniques that we want. However, there's a huge problem with that. You're going to need 2 Resplendent Sparks, and then you're going to need specific runes to do so. So you can see that I've got all the money runes that I need, but very few cry and no back. Depending on the Mythic Unique that you're looking to craft, it requires different runes for that craft. And the more popular runes, these are significantly more expensive to trade for with other players. But just like Season 7, the sources of runes are kind of too little, resulting in you kind of being forced to trade for them if you have any hope. The runes can be found from two main sources. You can get them as a lucky drop post Lair boss kill. The legendary ones are obviously more rare but can be dropped here. Or you can do what I recommend, which is farming Tributes of Harmony. As you can see, these earn runes as part of their reward chest at the end. Now, you can't get these tributes in a reliable manner. They happen as part of different endgame content rewards, but I found that they are giving me quite a lot of Harmony tributes at the least. But how do you get Resplendent Sparks for this crafting as well? Well, you get one by dismantling any Mythic Unique, so obviously you need to have one first, but there are 3 sources of it besides any of that. So you're going to get one by reaching maximum rep with the current rep system, and then you take the offered reward, the cash reward, and inside that is 1 Resplendent Spark. Alternatively, you can also get one by completing the season journey, which to be fair is a lot harder in this season and does require specific focused gameplay. You reach a certain point of power and start doing the chores, which is equipping silly powers as your main power and killing specific bosses, that kind of thing, quite a lot of it. The other option for getting one more spark super easy is by defeating Lilith for the first time in the season. This can actually be done while on Torment 1 though, as a very straightforward source of at least 1 spark. Now, I was doing this on Torment 4 just for the challenge of it, and I wouldn't recommend it. She has a lot of kind of BS one-shot mechanics, and in this new version of her in Season 8, she is ultra regenning health. You are forced to go through different phases and mechanics, there's no avoiding it. So if you are going to go for it, I'd recommend Torment 1, and I'd recommend some iframe options to avoid the waves on particularly horrible patterns. And I'd recommend having enough move speed for phase 2, where you're running around from missiles and trying to avoid letting the arena collapse on you. So that's kind of the overview of Mythic Uniques in Season 8, and how you do what you need to do to get them. When it comes to the topic of how I feel about this in Season 8, I'm not exactly happy, but I'm willing to give them a chance to adjust the numbers. They've just introduced this new Lair boss system and completely reworked that system. There are definitely issues with it, but I will say that they're at least doing something interesting, and now they just need to tweak it. In my opinion, Mythic Unique drop rates should not be as low as they are, or rune drop rates and legendary runes should be significantly more common. If they want to make the drops of the Mythic Uniques rare, but then let us craft them, fair enough. But then you have to let us actually craft them. So basically, in my opinion, they've gone too far on either way, and they need to fix at least one of them to make this a lot more stomachable. And I'm hoping with the early patch that's coming to the season, we see some acknowledgement of that and a change. But what do you guys think? And actually, if you guys have any extra information or advice about farming Mythic Uniques, then let us know in the comments. But for now, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.